Hello, I'm Alan Strandsman. I'm going to read an excerpt from my book entitled Don't Let Your Dream Business Turn Into a Nightmare in this video. Before I do, I will just set the stage briefly as to where we are in the story. It is now November the 17th of 2007. It's 2.5 years since your dream business was launched. And in the 2.5 year period between the launch of the business and the 17th of November, a lot has happened, and a lot of the early kind of misconceptions and sort of idealistic notions that you had about creating your dream business have really given way to a much different reality. And where you're at right now is you have kind of reached the end of the line, the point beyond which you are incapable of going financially and emotionally. You've done everything you can to keep the business going, even though you are only a 20% owner in the business. You've made sacrifices and efforts that no reasonable person would ever make, but you did that because of the passion and the belief that you had in the business. And you are on the telephone with your investors, really for whose benefit, not exclusively, but certainly for whose benefit your efforts were made, and who by any right way of thinking, if you will, ethically and morally, should at least acknowledge and appreciate the very honest and considerable effort that you've made. But this is how I describe that particular juncture in the book. Before I tell you what happens next, I need to take you back in time. Before June 2004, before you had a really good idea for a business, before you had any ideas of your own, I need to take you back to kindergarten, to the games you played in the playground during recess, and to an expression that you first heard when you were 4 or 5 years old. I need to take you back to your childhood and reach into your brain and pluck from it an expression that you first heard when you were 4 or 5 years old. No fair. That's no fair. Someone, when you were 4 or 5 years old, planted the thought in your brain that there was something called no fair. Miss Armstrong, your kindergarten teacher. May as well blame her. Because when you were a child playing games in the playground during recess and something happened that just didn't seem right, you said no fair. And Miss Armstrong got that. And all the other kids understood exactly what you meant too. And that's because the exact same concept, the no fair concept, was planted in their brain too. And now I'm going to reach into your brain and remove that concept forever. Because if I don't, you may just become agitated, angry, frustrated, and even bewildered by what happens next. By the fact that your investors, your shareholders, the guys you once thought of as partners, now blame you for everything. Accuse you of mismanaging the business, of being extravagant, of spending too much money on marketing, and doing, quote-unquote, nothing but piss all over the business for the past 2.5 years, unquote, from 3,000 miles away. And why shouldn't they blame you? After all, it was your really good idea for a business in the first place, and between them, they have a total of 1 visit to the spa, which means one of them has never stepped foot in it, or spoken to any of your staff or clients. So it can't be their fault. It has to be your fault. It can't just be that your really good idea turned into a really tough little business once it became reality, like every other business. No, it has to be someone's fault. And that someone is you. If you'd like to read more excerpts from my book, or if you'd like to purchase the book, read some testimonials from other readers of my book, I invite you, as always, to visit my website, www.mybusinessnightmare.com.